Hi there, thanks for joining me for another lesson on how to sing in head voice. Today I have 2 more head voice exercises to share with you, and as I demonstrate them I'm going to be giving you instructions in how to properly execute them and also some tips and pointers for improving your head voice sound. So keep in mind again that the sounds that you're going to be hearing today with my head voice are not going to be classical. I'm not a classical singer, so they're going to be the sounds that we might hear more in contemporary commercial styles of music, pop, maybe even some rock, or at the very least, legit musical theater. Alright, so our first exercise today is built on a z, zay, za, zo, zoo. So we have the z at the start, that semi-occluded sound, which is really great for ensuring that we have a good balance with the breath pressure, and we have that nice positive back pressure that helps to make sure that the throat doesn't close. And we're also leading with an E vowel, and as I explained in my first video on head voice, the E vowel is really great for head voice development because it turns over early, it has a low first formant value. So it wants to be in head voice sooner, so that's going to really help us and prevent us from getting stuck in our M1 coordination. Now again, here, we don't want to be stuck in M1, right? We never really want to be stuck. But we don't want to be in M1 because the purpose of this video is to train you to be able to sing in M2. As we get around our upper passaggio, so for females that's going to be E, F, F sharp, somewhere around there. We might feel this need to make these adjustments a little bit lower, and males it's going to happen somewhere between, let's say, E flat and G above middle C, give or take, and it really depends on the vowel, it depends on the voice type, but somewhere around there. What happens is the larynx wants to start to move up, and laryngeal elevation in and of itself is not necessarily a problem unless it's accompanied by a feeling of constriction, right? Or unless it's actually preventing the larynx from doing its job, moving appropriately for pitch and register and intensity. But for the purposes of head voice, as I train it, we want to make sure that the larynx isn't rising prematurely or excessively. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're keeping some of the warmth and depth in the sound. And we do this by ensuring that we're not losing the authentic resonating space of the vowel. Now we're not adding space. The space is already there. All we're doing is preventing the space from being lost. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a nice inhale, and we're going to reset or recalibrate our vocal tract every time we inhale. And then we sing on that inhale posture. We don't want to falsify this. We don't want to overly darken the timbre in an effort to try to maintain some depth and warmth in the sound. We don't want to depress the larynx or swing the pharyngeal walls wide open or overly loft the soft palate. What often happens too is we tend to associate head voice with the sounds that we hear in classical singers, only we don't actually have the training to make those sounds in an authentic and healthy way. And so we tend to sort of flatten the tongue and depress the larynx and do all sorts of weird things with our vocal tracts in an attempt to sound like that singer, but without having the benefit again of having his or her training. So we just want to give the vowel enough space for resonation without exaggerating that space. And I find when I start to get to this point in my scale, I go back to that inhale posture every time, and I try to sing on that inhale posture. Some of you might do better with an incipient yawn, that first part of a yawn. Just don't take it all the way to the full yawn. So we'll go back to here. Sound changes right there. Okay, it starts to sound a little more classical, but I'm doing that intentionally because I'm going back to that inhale posture. If I don't, it'll be a little brighter, and I might be able to get a few notes like that, but it might also get a little too bright, and I might not really like how it feels either because it'll start to feel a little bit more closed. And what you'll probably notice is that some of these changes need to take place before you actually get to your upper passaggio in anticipation of that passaggio. For me, I find that if I don't get my instrument primed and ready for that E5, which is my upper passaggio, a few semitones before that, I find that by the time I get to that E5, things are a little bit out of balance. And the differences between those notes below E5 and my E5 are quite stark. They're quite noticeable. And so what I want to do is I want to create that nice seamless transition by ensuring that I'm anticipating those adjustments and allowing them to happen semitone by semitone. I find for me around C sharp is typically where I need to start moving more into head voice from my middle or mixed voice. So here I'm not going zoo. I'm not over lofting the soft palate so that I sound like a vampire. And I'm not going ooh with the sound and really trying to over darken it. I'm letting the vowel have space, but I'm also not trying to falsify anything in my timbre. The second exercise might be really beneficial for you. So it starts with sort of a twangy kind of sound, and we're going to sing ming, ma. And we're going to sing it like this. Ming, 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 ma, 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 ma. 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 Hear how I'm starting to have to change that a little bit there, right? A little dry. Just as a word of warning, word of caution, this is the time of the year when we do tend to get a little bit dry. The heat kicks on, so make sure that you're hydrating. I need to follow my own advice because I'm not hydrating very well. Ming, 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 ma, 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 ma. 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 So there are three really common tendencies that we experience when we move higher in pitch like this. The first is that we want to just keep raising the first formant and going into that kind of yell coordination. That's not going to get us in head voice. It's fine for belting and some other sounds that we might want to make, but that's not going to work for head voice, which is what this video is focused on. The second tendency that we have is to kind of flip into sort of a disconnected falsetto kind of sound, an airy sound. Or we go into kind of a whoop timbre, which for females we kind of do this anyway, but it's sort of this under-energized kind of whoop timbre. It's not necessarily a terrible sound, but it's obviously not as full as most of us want our head voices to be. So keep working on ensuring that you're maintaining authentic resonating space for the vowel as you move higher. Allow that flexibility of the instrument. Don't get locked in that M1. Don't allow yourself to get locked in chest voice. Use your low first formant vowels, your oohs and your e's for building your voice, for building that head voice. Make sure that you're keeping some brightness and ring in the sound. Use that twangy ming kind of quality, and that will start to build a really nice sounding head voice. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. Feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, if you haven't already done so, please click the thumbs up button to let me know that you like this content, and also consider subscribing to this channel so that you'll be notified every time I post lessons like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.